The Emperor is dying on the Golden Throne. False. Space Marines can reproduce. False. Orcs technology doesn't actually work. False. I just busted 50 myths that even hardcore Warhammer 40k fans believe. And by the end of this video, you'll realize how much of what you know about the Grimdark is completely wrong. Some of these took 5 minutes to bust. Others took hours of reading through codexes and novels. We're starting with the easy ones, myths you can verify in under 5 minutes. Then we're moving to ones that required me to dig through ancient source books, and we're ending with myths that made me question everything about Warhammer 40k. Let's go. Alright, here's how this works. I'm busting 50 myths about Warhammer 40k lore. Each myth gets a verdict. True, false, or complicated. And yes, in Warhammer 40k, everything is complicated. I've organized this into 5 categories. Category 1, the Imperium, myths about Space Marines, the Emperor, and humanity. Category 2, Chaos, myths about traitor legions and the Dark Gods. Category 3, Xenos, myths about alien races. Category 4, the Primarchs, myths about the Emperor's sons. And Category 5, the Setting, myths about the universe itself. Every single one is backed by official sources, codexes, novels, Lexicanum articles, links in the description. Stick around for myth 23, because it's the most controversial one in Warhammer 40k history. Let's start with myths I busted in under 5 minutes. Myth number 1. The Emperor is dying on the Golden Throne. Verdict false. Look, I know this sounds crazy because we've been told for decades the Emperor is clinging to life. But according to The Master of Mankind by Aaron Dembski-Bowden, the Emperor isn't dying. He's in perpetual stasis. His body is frozen in time, not decaying, not healing, just frozen. The Golden Throne keeps him locked between life and death while his psychic consciousness battles in the warp. He could leave the throne if he wanted to. Doing so would collapse the Astronomicon, doom humanity, and let demons flood Terra. He's not dying. He's imprisoned by duty. Source: The Master of Mankind, pages 250 to 270. Next myth. Myth number 2. The Emperor wanted to be worshipped as a god. Verdict: false. This one's wild because the entire Imperium is built on worshipping him. But in the last church, the Emperor explicitly tells a priest that religion is poison. He rejected godhood. He wanted the imperial truth, science and reason, not faith. But after 10,000 years on the Golden Throne, humanity turned him into exactly what he hated. The man who rejected divinity became the most worshipped being in the galaxy. Source: The Last Church by Graham McNeil, Codex Ecclesiarch. Next. Myth number 3. Space Marines can reproduce. Verdict false. Space Marines are chemically castrated during the augmentation process. The gene seed implantation process destroys their reproductive organs. They're sterile warriors. They can't have kids. The Imperium doesn't want Space Marines breeding, because that would create a new species that could challenge humanity. They are weapons, not a new race. Source: Codex Space Marines, 10th edition, page 12, Myth Busted, myth number 4. Space Marines are the best soldiers in the Imperium. Verdict complicated. Here's the thing. Space Marines are incredible, but they're not the best. The Adeptus Custodes are better. A single custodian is worth 10 Space Marines in combat. Custodes are individually crafted by the Emperor himself, while Space Marines are mass-produced with gene seed. But Space Marines are more versatile. They can be deployed anywhere, in any number. Custodes rarely leave Terra. So best soldiers, Custodes. Most effective military force, Space Marines. Source: Codex Adeptus Custodes, pages 8 to 12. Next. Myth number 5. There are only 1,000 Space Marines per chapter. Verdict: false. The Codex Astartes says 1,000, but most chapters ignore this. The Black Templars have thousands, maybe 6,000 or more. The Space Wolves don't follow the Codex at all. Even Codex compliance chapters like the Ultramarines keep extra Marines in training companies. The 1,000 limit is more like a suggestion. Source: Codex Space Marines, 10th edition, pages 18 to 20. Moving on. Myth number 6. Primaris Marines replaced Firstborn. Verdict: false. A lot of people think Primaris made Firstborn obsolete, but both exist in the lore. Firstborn Marines are still around and still effective. Many chapters mix both types. Primaris are stronger and taller, but Firstborn have 10,000 years of tradition and experience. They coexist. Source: Codex Space Marines 9th and 10th editions. Next myth. Myth number 7. The Emperor created the Primarchs alone. A verdict complicated. The Emperor definitely made the Primarchs, but he had help. The novel Saturnine hints. He made a deal with the Chaos Gods. Other sources suggest he stole secrets from the warp or used alien technology. The exact method is intentionally vague, but it's clear he didn't do it. Below, even the Emperor needed help making his sons. Source: Saturnine by Dan Abnett, pages 320 to 340. The Master of Mankind. Next. Myth number 8. Space Marines spit acid. Verdict: true, but not all chapters use it. Space Marines have the Betcher's gland, which produces acidic saliva that can dissolve metal. But some chapters, like the Blood Angels, have gene seed flaws that make this organ not work. And most Marines don't use it because it's considered barbaric. But yes, they can spit acid. Source: Codex Space Marines, Implants section. Moving on. Myth number 9. Thunder Warriors were all killed. Verdict: false. Most Thunder Warriors were executed after the Unification Wars, but some survived. In the Outcast Dead, we meet Arik Towers, a Thunder Warrior who lived through the Purge. He and a few others went into hiding. The Emperor thought he killed them all, but he didn't. Source: The Outcast Dead by Graham McNeil. Next. Myth number 10. Sisters of Battle are weaker than Space Marines. Verdict: complicated. In raw physical strength, yes, Space Marines are stronger. But Sisters of Battle have faith. Powers that can perform miracles. Saint Celestine has killed Chaos Lords and Daemons that would challenge Space Marines. They serve different battlefield roles. Space Marines are shock troops. Sisters are zealots who inspire entire armies. Comparing them is like comparing a tank to a flamethrower. Different tools for different jobs. Source: Codex Adepta Sororitas 9th edition. Next, myth number 11. The Imperial Guard always has commissars. Verdict: false. Only some regiments have commissars. Cadian regiments almost always have them, because Cadians are disciplined, but Feral World regiments or penal legions might not. Commissars are assigned based on need and the regiment's reputation. Some guard units have never seen a commissar. Source: Codex Astra Militarum, pages 28 to 30. Moving on. Myth number 12. Cadians all have purple eyes. Verdict: false. This is a huge misconception. Only Cadians born on Cadia or who live near the Eye of Terror have purple eyes. It's caused by prolonged warp exposure. After Cadia fell, most Cadians in the galaxy have normal eye colors. Their descendants won't have purple eyes unless they're exposed to the warp again. Source: Fall of Cadia campaign book pages 12 to 15. Next, myth number 13. The Astronomicon was created by the Emperor. Verdict: complicated. The Emperor powers the Astronomicon, but he didn't create the device itself. The Astronomicon was built during the Dark Age of technology, possibly by ancient humans. The Emperor found it and uses his psychic power to fuel it, but the machine existed before him. Source: The Master of Mankind, Codex Imperium. Next myth. Myth number 14. There are exactly 1 million worlds in the Imperium. Verdict: false. This is an estimate, not a hard number. The Imperium has approximately 1 million worlds, but this changes constantly. Planets fall to chaos, get consumed by tyrannids, or are reclaimed through crusades. The exact number fluctuates and nobody actually keeps an accurate count. Source: Warhammer 40k, Core Rulebook, 10th edition, page 6. Moving on. Myth number 15. All Inquisitors are psychers. Verdict: false. Many Inquisitors have no psychic ability at all. Inquisitor Eisenhorn started as a low-level psyker. Inquisitor Karamazov has 0 psychic powers. Being an Inquisitor is about authority and investigation skills, not psychic ability. Some Inquisitors specifically hunt psykers despite not being psykers themselves. Source: The Eisenhorn Trilogy by Dan Abnett. Next category. Those were the Imperium myths, to 15 down. Now we're moving to Chaos myths. These are gonna get darker because Chaos lore is intentionally confusing. Let's see if you believed any of these. Myth number 16. Chaos Marines are all insane. Verdict: false. A lot of Chaos Marines are rational and calculating. The Iron Warriors are pragmatic siege masters who worship chaos for power, not devotion. The Alpha Legion might still be loyal to the Emperor. We don't even know. The Night Lords hate chaos and only use it as a tool. Not every traitor Marine is a frothing lunatic. Source: Storm of Iron by Graham McNeil for Iron Warriors. Night Lords Trilogy by Aaron Dembski-Bowden. Next. Myth number 17. Horus was the strongest Primarch. Verdict: complicated. Before Chaos Corruption, Horus was strong, but not the strongest. Sanguinius was probably the best fighter, and the lion was the best duelist. But after Horus got empowered by all 4 chaos gods, he became the strongest Primarch ever. Empowered Horus beat Sanguinius and almost killed the Emperor. Without chaos buffs though, he wasn't number 1. Source: The End and the Death by Dan Abnett. Moving on. Myth number 18. All chaos worshippers become daemons. Verdict: false. Becoming a daemon or daemon prince is extremely rare. Most chaos worshippers just die. You need the favor of a chaos god to become daemonic, and the gods are fickle. For every daemon prince there are millions of cultists who got nothing but mutations and death. It's not a reward, it's a lottery you'll probably lose. Source: Codex Chaos, Daemon's 10th edition, pages 20 to 25. Next. Myth number 19. Chaos is pure evil. Verdict: complicated. Chaos itself is neutral. It's a reflection of emotions in the warp. Khorne represents martial honor and bloodlust. Nurgle represents acceptance and decay. Tzianch represents hope and scheming. Slaanesh represents passion and excess. The Chaos Gods are corrupted by how mortals feed them. If humanity was peaceful, the Chaos Gods would be different. Source: Realm of Chaos, The Lost and the Damned, 1990 edition. Next myth. Myth number 20. There are only 4 Chaos Gods. Verdict: false. Malice or Malal exists in older lore as a renegade Chaos God. The Great Horned Rat from Age of Sigmar is sometimes referenced. There are minor warp entities and daemon lords that act like gods. The Big 4 are the strongest, but they are not the only ones. Source: Old White Dwarf articles on Malal. Various Black Library novels. Moving on. Myth number 21. Abaddon has failed 13 times. Verdict: false. This is a meme, not lore. Every Black Crusade achieved strategic goals. The first Black Crusade captured the Blackstone fortresses. The 7th weakened the Cadian Gate. The 12th was a feint. The 13th broke Cadia and split the galaxy in half. Abaddon has been winning slowly for 10,000 years. People mock him, but he's one of the most successful villains in Warhammer. Source: Black Legion series by Aaron Dembski Bowden. Gathering Storm campaign books. Next. Myth number 22. Demon weapons make you stronger. It's just a verdict: complicated. Yes, they make you stronger, but the daemon inside wants your soul. Daemon weapons boost your power, but they also corrupt you and eventually possess you. It's a deal with the devil. You get power now, but you'll pay later. Every wielder of a daemon weapon is slowly being consumed. Source: Codex Chaos, Space Marines, 10th edition, Daemon Weapon section. Next myth. Myth number 23. Magnus did nothing wrong. Verdict: complicated. Here we go, the most controversial myth in Warhammer 40k. Magnus was tricked by Tzeentch into breaking the Webway project. His intentions were good. He wanted to warn the Emperor about Horus. But he used forbidden sorcery and shattered the Emperor's most important project. He was manipulated, but he also ignored warnings and broke his oath. Magnus is a tragic figure who made a terrible mistake. Source: 1,000 Suns by Graham McNeil, the master of mankind. Next. Myth number 24. All word bearers worship chaos undivided. Verdict: false. Most word bearers worship chaos undivided, but some specialize. Certain warbands dedicate themselves to single gods. The word bearers are theologians who study all aspects of chaos, so some focus on one god to understand it better. They're not a monolith. Source: Dark Apostle by Anthony Reynolds. Moving on. Myth number 25. Logar was weak. Verdict false. Logar gets called weak because he wasn't the best fighter, but he was a powerful psyker. He survived fights with Corax and Guilliman. He wrote the book that corrupted half the Imperium. His words turned Horus to chaos. Lorgar's power was ideological, not physical, and he used it to start a galactic civil war. Source: The First Heretic by Aaron Dembski Bowden. Betrayer. Next category. Chaos myths. Done. Now we're hitting Xenos myths, and this is where things get interesting because most Warhammer fans focus on Imperium versus Chaos and forget about aliens. Let's bust some Xenos myths. Myth number 26. Orcs' technology doesn't actually work. Verdict false. Orc technology works. It's just poorly made and inefficient. An orc gun will fire bullets. The WoW field doesn't make guns work from nothing. What the WoW does is make orc tech more reliable than it should be. A human picking up an orc gun will find it jamming constantly, but it still works. The myth that orc tech is held together by belief alone is wrong. Source: Codex Orcs, 9th edition technology section. Next. Myth number 27. Tyranids are mindless. Verdict false. The hive mind is incredibly intelligent. It adapts tactics, sets traps, and uses psychological warfare. In Devastation of Baal, the hive mind baited the Blood Angels into traps. Tyranids have outsmarted Craftworld, Eldar, and Space Marines. They're not mindless locusts. They're a calculating swarm intelligence. Source: Codex Tyranids 10th edition, Devastation of Baal by Guy Haley. Moving on. Myth number 28. Eldar are dying out. Verdict complicated. The Eldar are in slow decline, but not immediate extinction. Craft worlds still have millions of Eldar. They reproduce slowly, but they do reproduce. The danger is they're losing ground, and each death is a soul for Slaanesh. They're dying as a civilization, not as a species. There's a difference. Source: Codex Craftworld Eldar, 9th edition. Next myth. Myth number 29. Tau have no melee ability. John. Verdict false. Commander Farsight is a melee beast with his Dawn Blade. Kroot are part of the Tau Empire and they're melee specialists. Tau fire warriors carry bonding knives for close combat. The Tau aren't good at melee compared to orcs or space marines, but they're not defenseless. Source: Farsight Crisis of Faith by Phil Kelly. Codex Tau Empire. Next. Myth number 30. Necrons are emotionless. Verdict false. Old lore said this, but new lore changed it. Trasin, the Infinite, is sarcastic and petty. The Silent King feels guilt over what happened to his people. Imhotep the Stormlord is arrogant and prideful. Necrons have personalities, especially the higher ranking ones. The lower warriors are mindless, but the lords and overlords have emotions. Source: The Infinite and the Divine by Robert Rath. Moving on. Myth number 31. All orcs are stupid. Verdict false. Most orcs are dumb. But mech boys and weird boys are smart in their specialties. Mech boys understand engineering instinctively. Weird boys channel psychic energy. And some orc war bosses are cunning strategists. Gazgakol Thraka outsmarted Yarick multiple times. Orcs aren't a stupid species, they're just obsessed with fighting. Source: Gazgakol Thraka, Prophet of the Wa. Next, myth number 32. Dark Eldar need to torture to survive. Verdict complicated. Dark Eldar need to consume souls to avoid being eaten by Slanesh. Torture is their preferred method, but it's not the only method. They can drain souls through fear, suffering, or even just proximity to dying beings. Torture is the most efficient way, but not the only way. Source: Codex Drukari 9th edition. Next myth. Myth number 33. Tyranids have never been defeated. Verdict: false. A Yandencraft world survived the Tyranid invasion. The Blood Angels held Baal. The Ultramarines stopped Hive Fleet Behemoth at Macragge. Tyranids lose battles all the time. They just keep coming back with more. They're not unbeatable. They're endless. Source: Devastation of Baal. Warriors of Ultramar by Graham McNeill. Moving on. Myth number 34. The Tau are communist. Verdict: false. The Tau have a caste system where you're born into a role and can never change it. That's not communism. That's closer to fascism or a rigid oligarchy. The greater good philosophy sounds utopian, but the ethereals maintain control through pheromones and propaganda. The Tau are authoritarian, not communist. Source: Codex Tau Empire 9th edition. Next. Myth number 35. Jana Stealer cults are tyrannids. Verdict: complicated. Jana Stealer cults are separate from tyrannids until the Hive fleet arrives. They are human or alien cultists infected with the Jana Stealer genes. They worship the Star Children and prepare the planet for consumption, but they're not tyrannids yet. When the Hive fleet arrives, the cult gets absorbed and their purpose ends. Source: Codex Genestealer Cults 9th edition. Next category. Xenos myths done. Now we're moving to Primarch myths. These are the Emperor's sons, the demigods, who shaped the Imperium and tore it apart. Let's see what you know about them. Myth number 36. All traitor Primarchs are demon princes. Verdict: false. Most traitor Primarchs became demon princes, but not all. Perturabo is only partially demonic. He resisted full transformation. Alfarius and Omegan's status is completely unknown. One might be dead, one might be loyal. And Conrad Curzid died before he could become a demon. Source: Angel Exterminatus by Graham McNeill for Perturabo. Next. Myth number 37. Vulcan is immortal. Verdict: true. Vulcan is perpetual. He resurrects after death. He's been killed multiple times and keeps coming back. The salamanders are waiting for his return because they know he's not permanently dead. Vulcan is one of the few truly immortal Primarchs. Source: Vulcan Lives by Nick Kime. Old Earth. Moving on. Myth number 38. The Emperor loved all Primarchs equally. Verdict: false. The Master of Mankind makes it clear the Emperor had favorites. He valued Horus and Magnus more than others. He was cold to Perturabo and Langron. The Emperor saw the Primarchs as tools, not sons, and he valued some tools more than others. This is why half of them turned traitor. They felt unloved. Source: The Master of Mankind. Pages 300 to 350. Next myth. Myth number 39. Angron wanted the nails removed. Verdict complicated. Angron begged the Emperor to remove the butcher's nails, but by the time he asked, they were irreversible. The nails defined who Angron was. Without them, he'd be a different person. Part of Angron knew this, and it drove him insane. He wanted freedom from pain, but the nails were him. Sources: Betrayer by Aaron Dembski Bowden. Next. Myth number 40. Fulgrim is still corrupted. Verdict complicated. Demon Fulgrim exists and is corrupted, but there's also a clone of Fulgrim created by Fabius Bile, who is uncorrupted, and might be the real Fulgrim's soul in a new body. So there are potentially 2 Fulgrims, one damned and one pure. Source: Clone Lord by Josh Reynolds. Moving on.